And on the East Coast, seasonal affective disorder is no joke. Once the late fall into winter hits, it's like bam, serotonin. Who is she?
I don't know her.
Today I am here to talk about a growing trend among San Diego moms.
It's called microdosing. It's not legal, but a North County mom admits she does it and it works.
Hey everyone, it's Chrysantilus, and as the title of this video suggests, I have been microdosing magic mushrooms for a year, and I'm here to tell y'all how that has been. In my comment section, I get a lot of questions about magic mushrooms, especially as it pertains to microdose. So I know that many of y'all at home are very curious as to how you can incorporate psychedelics and sacred plant medicines like magic mushrooms into your everyday lives and routine.
Microdosing is the practice of using tiny doses of psychedelics like LSD or psilocybin, essentially 1/10 of what would be a normal dose. And many people believe that it improves their well-being, their productivity, their creativity. But it's important to state that we really have no idea if this is true.
Today, I'm gonna share my story about microdosing for a year, including like literally today, and how it has vastly improved my life and my standard of living. So yeah, I'm so glad y'all are here today for the first video in my microdosing series. And if you're new here, welcome. We are a realm dedicated to psychedelics and sacred plant medicine, all about demystifying and destigmatizing the trip. If you learned something new, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for upcoming videos in this microdosing series. You can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Patreon at Chrysantilus. Let's hop into it.
The following video is made for the purpose of education and harm reduction. We are not promoting the use, procurement, or possession of any plant medicine or substance. We encourage everyone to do further research and prioritize safety.
So before microdosing magic mushrooms, I had been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and ADHD.
I'm growing depressed.
I had tried prescription medication for all of these ailments, and none of them had worked for me quite well, with the exception of that being Adderall. Adderall helps me extraordinarily, especially when it comes to focusing in order to edit my videos. Sitting in one spot and having to look at a computer screen 4 to 8 hours a day is not necessarily what I would choose to do. It just happens to be what I am good at. So I still actually sit with Adderall.
Okay.
But I do not sit with Adderall on the same days that I microdose, and all of the other prescription medications, especially for my depression and anxiety, did not work, did not suit me.
Sad as a bee. Really sad as a bee.
I get into that a little bit more in my antidepressants versus microdosing video, so please stay tuned for that. But yes, I was officially diagnosed with depression, anxiety, ADHD, and it was the depression in particular that was really weighing me down on a day-to-day basis. And I knew that something was not just wrong, but something really had to give in terms of just how I operated and just how I felt. Also, I had been living in Baltimore for many years, and on the East Coast, seasonal affective disorder is no joke. Once the late fall into winter hits, it's like bam, serotonin. Who is she?
I don't know her.
I had been sitting with magic mushrooms for several years at the time that I decided to start microdosing, which was about 2 years ago, but I started regularly microdosing 1 year ago, and I decided to start making my own medication, making my own capsules, getting on top of it, and really tackling my depression, especially head on. Making magic mushroom capsules was way easier than I thought it would have been. And since then, I've even found an easier way to make them using a capsule press. So first off, it can be accessible. For me, I found it to be way more accessible than I thought it would be. And once I started taking magic mushroom microdose capsules, my life completely changed. I was blown away by the results. First off, when I had it in me to take these capsules, especially starting off when I was on a 1 day on, 2 day off, every 3 days sort of schedule. My depression noticeably decreased. And again, I had tried antidepressants before, so it almost felt like there was no hope for my depression and that it was just something that I had to live with because it was what we would consider treatment resistant, right? The medication, it resisted the way I was trying to treat it. But microdosing, especially when paired with daily morning meditation, it has done wonders for my mental health. And I'm surprised I haven't made more videos talking about this because I've now been consistently microdosing for an entire year. And you can see the difference in my channel in the past year. Like, you can see tangible differences of how the past year has gone for me and just the difference. So microdosing magic mushrooms has also had intuitive benefits for me. I've been way more able to tap into my emotions, be honest with how I am feeling and thinking. This has in turn led to me leaving different relationships and harmful situations that I was in because I could be straight up with myself in the way that I refer to on this channel. Like, there is no hiding from magic mushrooms, there is no capping, there is no putting on a front. Magic mushrooms in their spirit have you face on life head on and have you face on your reality very head on. So microdosing every day led to me having to be very honest with myself about a few harmful situations I was in, and therefore in turn empowered me to completely leave those situations. And my everyday state of mind is so much better for that. One of the reasons I think I was able to prioritize my feelings and emotion and intuition is because I was not as depressed. And I think that the mental load of depression was taking up my capacity to do so much else because I was just on a daily basis dealing with how my mood was just anchored and sunken into such a deep depth. The most noticeable day-to-day difference in my microdosing has definitely been the lift in my mood. So I can literally feel like a light inside me.
The prophecy is true.
Like right here, kind of in my chest area, turn on and shine so bright when I microdose this medicine. And it's really hard to feel sad. It's really hard to not find something to feel grateful about. And sometimes that can be exhausting. Like, sometimes when you're so used to being depressed, how good you feel when you're not depressed is actually very exhausting, and it's just easier to go back to feeling depressed, which is one of the reasons why when I'm in like the depths of my depression, especially in the winter months, like I will actually avoid magic mushroom microdoses or sitting with the medicine, as ridiculous as that sounds, because I just want to kind of spiral myself more out of alignment when I'm already feeling depressed. And my depression does not like me taking my microdose pills. And sometimes I have, from time to time succumb to that, which sounds very counterintuitive because, like, right, this is something you're trying to treat. But for me, what depression can look like is just like laying in bed all day. And at a baseline, at like when I'm going on autopilot, that's kind of just what I want to do. Like, I want to lay in bed, I want to watch TikToks, I want to just like chill out, which can be fine from time to time, but it shouldn't be like my baseline, how I'm existing. And sitting with microdoses, I want to hike, I want to get up, I want to get out of bed, I want to dance, I want to spend time with friends. And that has just been a fantastic new baseline, like a fantastic new norm for my life. So yes, this growing trend among San Diego moms
are turning to it for help.
Changed my life for the better. Even just sitting with magic mushrooms or LSD, other psychedelics, I typically tend to do it either monthly or more often seasonally. They definitely impact the way you are feeling and the way you exist and think, and for me it helps me get out of tunnel vision. But if we're talking about a more day-to-day, daily support for adjusting that baseline, right? Like getting that frequency of the baseline up from bed to walks and from TikTok watching to spending time with friends. Magic mushroom microdoses has really been where I personally have found success. I also want to add that I think that microdosing is an incredible place to start if you have never had a psychedelic or plant medicine journey before and you are curious about what that could be. When folks ask me where to start in terms of magic mushrooms, especially, I always say try out a microdose and work your way up from that. There is really no real chance of having a challenging trip in the typical sense of that word, because during a microdose, what we're feeling is mostly subperceptual. Now, that depends on a lot, right? It's not just subperceptual, period. If you have a more potent mushroom, if you take more than one microdose, if you don't have any kind of tolerance at all of these things can affect how we perceive the microdose. There's even a placebo effect at play, right? Where we think we can be feeling something, but we might not actually be feeling something. And if you look at the most recent microdose studies that have come out, they have proven that this placebo effect when microdosing is very strong, or that microdosing is no stronger than the placebo effect. Again, I say this on my channel a lot, but these studies are limited and are the first of its kind, right? So we have a lot more to learn than just this like microdose study, and there were limiting factors on it, but we know at least that when we take microdoses, we can feel something. And what I'm saying is what we feel when we take microdoses, it can be coming from within. It's not necessarily the medicine in the same way that the medicine will affect us during a journey, like a moderate dose journey or something like that. It's very different. So where I am now compared to where I was when I started microdosing is very different. And maintaining my fight against depression has actually been the greatest challenge, because it is so much easier to just feel shitty for me and to just like sleep in till 11, stay in bed, take the day off, watch TikToks, you know what I mean? Eat sugar and junk food. Like, that is just easier.
That was easy.
So in maintaining this battle against my depression, microdosing magic mushrooms has been at the forefront of my arsenal, fighting in the front lines. I am so grateful to this medicine for getting me to a place where I can feel so good in my life that I drive across the country with my best friend and stay in California, where I love to be and where it's my favorite place, for a couple of months, you know. I am living in a way right now that I've never lived. I'm living in a very unscripted way. Like, people ask me, what are you gonna be doing when you get out to California? My answer is just like, I do not know. I'm having a really great time, and I'm challenging myself to live in a less predictable, less controlled way, and I'm just really sort of just going with the flow out here. I'm improvising it. I'm doing some improvisational living right now. And one of the main reasons I can live the way I'm living right now, which is very happy, is that my depression is not something that I have to manage on a daily basis in a way that is greater than, you know, sitting to meditate, doing yoga, and taking my magic mushroom microdoses that I take every so often. To learn how much I take every day, please stay tuned or check out my when to microdose video. That is going to be a big one coming up in this series. But yeah, I am so much happier now. I am able to prioritize just what I want to do, and the way I'm living and my channel and how I'm feeling is just living proof that magic mushroom microdoses have worked for me. Science and placebo effect aside. Again, the research we have on that is very limited, so I take it with a grain of salt. It hasn't disproven microdosing, but it also hasn't proven microdosing, so we're a little on the early side of those things. But yes, on a daily basis, I am looking forward to getting up and out of bed, and given the past decade of my life, that is new for me. So it is just a tool of healing. It's not the only tool of healing, but it is one for me that has worked significantly. Having a microdose day to me tastes and feels and is completely different than a non-microdose day. And again, I thank the medicine so much for this. I thank the roots of the medicine, and I give so much honor and reverence to Maria Sabina. If you do not know the history of magic mushrooms before microdosing and sitting with this medicine, please check out the link in my bio about how magic mushrooms entered the Western world. I think it's very important for everybody to know. But yeah, my journey microdosing magic mushrooms has been incredible. It's just like a sigh of relief to have this option, and to be able to have handmade this option myself is just incredible. As long as I'm able to source the medicine, I am able to make these capsules and support myself, keep myself lifted up and out of the way of depression. So if you got something out of my story, please consider subscribing to this channel. It means so much. I have a mushroom Keep It Trippy merch available on my Threadless shop. And I also have a Patreon going. Shout out to my current 6 Patreon subscribers. Y'all are holding it down. Y'all know what's good. And you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok. I am at Chrysantilus. So much appreciated. Thank you for coming here today and joining me and letting me share with you how microdosing magic mushrooms has significantly impacted my life. And don't forget to keep it trippy.